What's good, everybody? It is your boy DJ Alvin Korea, Track Camp ENT, and today we have a new series. This is something that everybody has requested from me for a long time, and I'm here to deliver it. It's going to be the House of 808s and Bass. It's basically going to be a tutorial series where we go over almost every kind of style of 808s and bass there is, rhythms and stuff like that, exploring new options, creating whatever. It's going to be about that. So I just want to go ahead and just talk about 808s, because where 808s came from in the early times, which was around like 1980, from a beat machine called the Roland TR-808. It was like one of the first programmable drum machines on the market, like the MPC, obviously. The MPC 60 came out in the early 80s. I'm an 80s baby, so it was destined to 808s be a part of my music. But anyways, the TR-808 was supposed to be like an alternative like drum machine, and by all means it was, but it was very, very expensive. So yeah. And even to this day you can't even find an 808, like a TR-808 machine by Roland, for less than $1,000. So that should let you know how serious 808 bass is. And many of hits have came from, the traditional hand clap, the tight snare, the hi-hats, the cowbell. They're prominent in today's music still. So that's a good 30 years of how prominent that this drum machine has been. But okay, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So today we're gonna actually learn some cool stuff, and we're gonna go right here. I'm looking for it. Yeah, we're good to go. So, we're going to be learning some stuff here. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there we go. Yeah. GoPro. So, very interesting stuff. Real quick announcement. I don't know which one. Yes, that's it right there. This just dropped, last week. Highly requested. You already know what it is. Some very good stuff in there. But we're going to go about, just different ways of how to create 808 basses and how many people do. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up an instance of my favorite plugin, Doom 2. And we're going to actually learn how to do 808s from scratch. So basically, the 808 bass itself is derived of the simplest waveform that there is known to mankind, the most simplest frequency or whatnot, and that would be the sine wave. And I don't know what I'm doing here, but anyways, and what that causes, the sine wave obviously puts out one of the most prominent low frequencies that could be understood within the 20K range. Anything lower than that, the 808 itself is inaudible. In some cases, in high frequencies, the 808 is inaudible. Just to kind of just talk about that. But anyways, I'm going to detach this real quick. What detaching does is just, makes it easier for you to pull up the plugin. Or I could pull it up on my other screen if I wasn't using it already. And now we're going to get right into it. So what I said, I just, the 808 it's derived from a sine wave. But how are we going to get it to actually sound like an 808? Now, the 808 itself is shaped by the amplitude envelope. Or you can actually go into the multi-segmented envelope graphic in Doom 2 and shape it. But we're going to actually just learn how to do it in here. So first, the sustain is all the way on, so that actually gets into the way of the 808 itself shaping. And as you see, just by the sustain, it's almost there. If I drop the semitone down an octave, you'll see that the 808 is almost there. Now, the coolest thing about 808s in general is that they have different characteristics. So, but one of the most basic characteristics of an 808 is the release. So we're gonna just move up the release of it. And matter of fact, let me move this over so we can actually see this in the oscilloscope. So I'm gonna take the release down, put the sustain back up. As you can see, this is, if we look at the oscilloscope, you can see that the 808s are derivative of a sine wave. Okay, which is pretty much everybody kind of can guess that. So we're gonna go back and change the sustain so we can actually see it on the oscilloscope. As you can see, now it's a short time. Sustain is like kind of changing the time of the actual sample from being long ring infinitely. Now changing the release, adding more tail. So if we're adding more tail to it, which is giving it more room to have a longer ring. So that's where the word long ring comes from. So it's kind of like ring modulation. And I add more. Now, one of the most key elements is dialing in some decay. As you can see, now we have an 808. Now, before we even just get into hey, it's not punching or anything like that. No kick drum. No kick drum is added. Kick drums actually, what kick drums do to an 808 is kind of attenuate, they help express the 808's punch. But right now the 808 is pure. It's there. It's just long ring. So there's a few things you can do to that. And as we know, and as we're going to talk about through this series, is many techniques to get more punch. And the first thing you want to know and learn is adding certain effects, such as compression, which you can overly compress it and affect the artifacts. So we're going to pardon me, I'm gonna move it over a little bit so you can see the oscilloscope. Now, I could kind of overcook it, and that will make the 808s more groggy or punchier. Now, perhaps you want more tail or more decay or whatnot to roll off. You can actually turn on the release so it doesn't clash. Me personally, I like a little release. So, we just add more characteristic as it goes. That's a little bit too much release. Now, one thing about making 808s in general like this is that you actually have more control over it. However, if you're to kind of add it, it won't be as such like if you was to add. And as you can see, I'm working on a new. This is going to be dropping real soon. And this is the TCE Kill Bill 2 kit. And yes, but anyways, it won't be the same as this. Well, it will automatically trigger the sample and cut off. You have actually more control. Now, so I could just don't have a long running conversation here. There's another thing that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about distortion. Now, what distortion does to 808s, especially during these modern day times of 808s now, it's been kind of heavily introduced by 808 Mafia. Shouts out to 808 Mafia and Metro Boomin, and not even necessarily them, like people like Bobby Critical, and other cats as well. So we have the distortion on. Now, I'm going to go and pull down so you can see the oscilloscope to see what the characteristics of distortion is, so you can see what it does to the sine wave. As you can see, it's adding a little bit more, it's adding more harmonics to it. It's not as obvious, but if you actually see it versus me cutting off, you can actually see that it's not exactly the same. And I'm going to activate the distortion again, and you can see let's see the characteristic. As I introduce more distortion to that 808, it goes from kind of being an audible sine wave to an audible square. So it's sort of it's kind of slightly ring modulating because of the way it's moving through the overdrive. And if I actually mess with things like the drive and the tune, it actually gets a little more ignorant. As you can see, it is now taking much more characteristics of a sine. So that these are some of the cool things about just creating your own 808 is that once you understand the whole philosophy behind how 808s are created, your possibilities are kind of limitless. I actually spent a few hours just thinking of other ways to create 808s that I don't know if I'm even ready to reveal yet. But even though this series is about that life, I don't know. But anyways, so we're gonna go and we're gonna go through a few things. I just want to show you what amplifying the actual frequency will do to it. That makes it more washy. And by all means, you could change the tone right here. Make it more pleasurable. Hard clip it. And here's a more peculiar thing. As adding some resonance and some key tracking to this, just using like a filter, it doesn't necessarily, and this is not just exclusively to Doom 2, is you can actually do this in any other additive subtractive synthesizer. Is you can add key tracking, which kind of spreads the harmonics evenly across your octaves, and causing different effects like this, and very interesting effects like this. And then you can even go deeper to that as far as just selecting different kinds of distortion or amplitudes. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty much showing you like one of the classic ways of how I make my 808s, and not going too deep. Now, last but not least, combining different harmonics. does different things to the phase. You could, I'm gonna go into oscillator 2 of this page, or it's actually on all, and we're gonna do something kind of wacky and add a sawtooth. Now it may sound good, it may not sound good. I can't remember, but apparently not. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna mute the. Pardon me. But yeah, just adding different artifacts like that, kind of, you could just kind of adjust the cutoff here. Get rid of most of the mid and high frequency content, and then add it to the 808. It gives that particular 808 even more interesting, if that's a word, content. And I just changed something like the overdrive, maybe even add some crunch. Yeah. So, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments, leave a comment. It's kind of like an introduction video. I just want to show people how 808s are derived, the history of 808s, and what level are we going to take it on this channel as far as talking about 808s, what I'm saying? So it's not to offend anybody, of your spiritual beliefs or anything like that. It was just, it was a choice between Church of 808s, House of 808s, the 808s and Bass Bible. I didn't know. So, let me know if that offends you or not, or if you're just good with it or not, good with the name of it. I'll change it in between it. Doesn't matter. I do most of my artwork on this channel. So, if you have any comments, ask me. If you have any questions or anything. And, if this is your first video about me of seeing DJ Ab McCree, hey, check out my other videos. I have plenty of tutorials in my playlist and many reviews and stuff like that as well. So, just let me know. Just a proprietary question if you already made it here. What other VSTs do you want me to shape 808s in? Because I have a few in mind. But anyways, I'm DJ Ab McCree, and I'm out.